When it was evening on that day, the first day of the week, and the doors of the house where the disciples had met were locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you. Peace be with you." They were broken, but Jesus said, "Peace be with you." And then Jesus said, verse 20, read verse 20. After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. He showed them. That is why we have a Sacred Heart picture. You can see Jesus is holding it with his left hand. He is opening his side, showing his side. And then he is pointing towards you and telling you, "See, look at my side and be happy. Look at my side, the broken heart, and know that how much I love you. Look at my side, which is broken and bleeding even now, and know and be happy and be sure that I love you." That is why we have that beautiful picture of Sacred Heart Jesus, where Jesus is opening his side and is showing his disciples the broken heart, with his burning with the flames of love, and crown of thorns piercing not only his head, but even when it was piercing his skull, it was in fact piercing his heart. Every sin that you and me commit is piercing the heart of Jesus. But still, even when the heart is pierced by the thorn of this crown, he is burning. The flames of love is still burning. That is what is the symbol of the Sacred Heart. And he is showing us this Sacred Heart and say, "Be happy." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. Then the disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. Normally, if someone shows their wound, no one will clap their hands and rejoice. But instead, they will say, "I'm sorry." And maybe some hearty condolence or some kind of, sympathy you may show. But when Jesus showed the heart, the broken heart, the pierced heart, the flaming heart, the boiling heart with love, the boiling heart with the love of God, the love is the flames are coming out, and Jesus showed his heart, and the disciples saw the heart and they rejoiced. They were so happy. My dear brothers and sisters, that is why this Sacred Heart image should be kept in every family. Why? Because in every family, when you keep a Sacred Heart of Jesus, remember, anytime you are broken, you are shattered, you are frightened, you are hiding, you are closing the door and hiding from others, hiding from your own family members, broken and sitting there, you should be able to look at the face of Jesus, where Jesus is showing his heart which is broken for you, bleeding for you, flaming for you, and is telling you, "Be happy." And you should be able to look at this image and rejoice. Just like the disciples who saw the broken heart of Jesus and rejoiced, you should be able to rejoice. That is why the church is encouraging all its faithful to have a Sacred Heart image in every family. From today, when you look at this beautiful page, the picture of the image of Jesus, remember this message which I've given you from this Word of God. This is the Word of God that is exactly depicted in that image. After he said this, he showed them his hands. See, one hand, he is showing his hands. You can see his finger, his finger is crossed like this. Is a sign of the cross. It is not 1.5 years or maybe 2000 millennium or something like that. There are people who interpret wrongly. But in the olden times, in the early churches, when the priest bless somebody, they keep the hands in a cross position and bless the people. So that is why the church, in the picture, Jesus has kept his fingers like this. One finger is little bent, one finger is straight and in a cross position, and he's blessing you and showing the wounds of his hands, the bleeding hand, and he's also showing his side. So this Sacred Heart image is exact image of this Word of God, John 20:20. After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. Then the disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. Anyone who look at this image should rejoice. Your problems are nothing, my dear brothers and sisters, when you look at the wounds of Jesus. Your pain, your rejection, your loneliness, your suffering, your problems, your crisis, your sickness are nothing. You don't need to cry anymore. You don't need to hide inside the closed room anymore. You just come out joyfully rejoicing, clapping in the hands and dancing, because your God is broken for you. His heart is bleeding for you. He loves you so much, and his hands and side is still bleeding for you out of love for you. And this is the message of the Sacred Heart.